Hey SmugStick, it's everyone. Welcome to What If Goku Had the Venom Symbiote. I know I've been getting a lot of new viewers specifically for my non-what ifs. And don't worry, there's a lot more of those coming. My friends Disper C and Professor Chimp really loved this one, and they took it upon themselves to bring it to life. This is actually a series I began 3 years ago, if you can believe it. And it's become somewhat of a Halloween tradition. This first season is one I've put over the past few years, but seasons 2 and 3, which will be coming in the following weeks, will be brand new material. I hope you guys enjoy and look forward to season 2. Following the death of Vegeta, Goku challenges Frieza to the ultimate showdown, even unlocking the Super Saiyan legend. But once Frieza is pushed against the wall, the cowardly Emperor launches a death ball to destroy the planet. Unknowingly, however, he has freed a terrifying creature that has been locked away within the planet for many years. Goku has the upper hand, slamming his fist against Frieza's face, but he's not as astronomically more powerful than him as he was before, because of Frieza's 100% power form. Frieza actually manages to get a few clean hits, bringing the Super Saiyan down to his knees. Frieza stands over Goku, smirking. Goku is about to blast Frieza away, but something stops him. He feels some kind of goo cover his hand. Instinctively, he draws his hand back. Frieza takes a step back, watching something cover Goku, his uniform turning black. Frieza was perplexed. Was this a new transformation? Goku was confused as well, but he had no time to argue. It felt like this thing had healed his wounds, or at the very least, made him a bit stronger. Goku took the chance to uppercut Frieza with something spewing out of his hand. It grabbed onto Frieza, to which Goku slammed him back down to the ground. Was this strange power because of the thing that crawled onto him? Frieza begged for his life, and Goku wanted to give him some energy, but he couldn't. Or he didn't want to. He was about to give Frieza some energy, but something stops him. He feels something cover his hand, and boom, a powerful black beam comes from Goku's hand directly at Frieza. He felt weird, but he wasn't going to stop, was he? Goku took steps forward, never letting go of the beam until he reached Frieza, punching him one time after another. All of the anger, all of the guilt, because of the death of Krillin, Vegeta, and the Namekians. It felt like this was amplified. It burned his body, and with this, Goku sent Frieza flying away with a kick. He saw something. His leg, no, his entire uniform was completely black. Frieza saw it happen earlier, but Goku just now realized it. Frieza was dead. He knew it. He felt sorry for having to do it, but he deserved it. He was a tyrant. It didn't matter anyways. Although it seemed like his body was moving on his own. Goku passed out before he reached the pod. Next thing he knew, he was surrounded by various strange aliens. Where was he? Did he survive? This was planet Yardrat, and soon Goku would get to know their people pretty well. He was brought before Elder Pibara, who would train him in the instant transmission. Goku was very friendly and powerful. He was welcomed with open arms. But as the days passed, the Yardrats realized that something seemed very off about Goku. He was becoming more violent. Irritable. Was something wrong? Pibara brought him to meditate, as they usually would. But this time, he looked deep into Goku's soul, realizing that it was corrupted. Pibara confronted Goku about this, explaining that there was a being living on him, a symbiote of sorts. Goku looked down to the ground, explaining that he expected so. There was something on Namek that attached itself to him. In fact, that thing was the reason he ended up on Yardrat. It brought him to the pod. The Yardrats tried to argue that they needed to detach the symbiote from Goku, that it was dangerous and corrupting him, but Goku wouldn't listen. To the Saiyan, the symbiote helped him. It was a good guy. Sure, he didn't achieve this power on his own, but it didn't matter. Not this time. Pibara pleaded with Goku to listen to himself, because it didn't sound like the Goku he knew. The Goku he knew wanted to grow stronger, so he could better himself, to gain strength his own way. When he first arrived on the planet, Pibara sensed Goku's soul to be one of pure good, the brightest soul he had ever met. But now, it was tainted, corrupted. If this went any further, who knows what would happen to him. Goku denied any help. He needed the symbiote. They needed each other. Before Pibara could do anything else, Goku disappeared. He teleported away to Earth. All Pibara could do was hope that Goku knew what he was doing. On Earth, Goku arrived with his friends already waiting for him. He was surprised to see so. They hugged him tightly. But the celebrations were short-lived, as a dark shadow loomed overhead. Frieza? No. He definitely died on Namek. Vegeta knew what it was. It was King Cold. Trunks, a warrior from the future, had already arrived. He was confronting King Cold head-on, defeating them easily. Goku was very impressed. A part of him was even relieved that he didn't have to fight them. Trunks had come to warn them all, not only about the androids, but the symbiote. In the future, an alien creature overwhelms the Z-Fighters, even the androids. Earth was left rotting, infested with symbiotic creatures. Only Gohan and himself were able to defend it, until Gohan succumbed to the power as well. He doesn't know where the creature came from, but as they were all on Namek, Trunks suggests that they are extremely careful and get checked out by Bulma. He told this to only Goku. The Saiyan could feel the symbiote twisting and turning, affecting his very thoughts. He couldn't let anyone know he had it. After all, Trunks said that it defeated the androids, right? It couldn't be that bad. He could control it. They could control it. But it is Piccolo in particular who confronts him, asking him what happened during the time away. Goku makes the choice to only tell people about the androids, as everyone prepares to train. Over the following months, the heroes notice some strange changes. He was more violent, more emotional, even smashing his fist against Gohan's face during training. No change there. But it is Piccolo in particular who confronts him, asking him what happened during his time away. Goku denies everything, only saying that they were powerful, more powerful than ever before. They could now protect everyone. Piccolo's eyes narrowed. Goku was speaking about us. Who was us? Goku turned his back on Piccolo, who asked if he knew anything about the symbiote. Piccolo had heard everything, but assumes that Goku had a reason to keep it under wraps. Turns out he was right. It was the fact that he had the symbiote. Before his own eyes, tentacles of black goo spawned from Goku's black gi. They began to engulf the Saiyan, proclaiming that the symbiote is their only way of defeating the androids. Piccolo had no choice but to battle the Saiyan, but his power is too incredible, and his moves too erratic. Gohan, who was studying while Goku and Piccolo trained, felt something strange. That ki was definitely Piccolo's, but it was slowly getting weaker and weaker. There was another power with him, but he didn't recognize it. Gohan jumped out of the window. Ignoring his mother's yells, he quickly reached the fight scene to watch as the monster clawed its tentacles into Piccolo, draining him of ki. Gohan was unaware that this was Goku. In fact, his father's ki was nowhere to be found. Gohan smashed his leg against the monster, sending him back. But not for long. The monster launched itself back and pinned Gohan down, but that was it. The monster stopped moving. It began to shake. Gohan's eyes widened, realizing what this thing was. Is that why it stopped? Did it recognize him? Gohan whispered under his breath, "Father." But the monster screeched in response.
We are Venom.
Venom jumped backwards, stopping himself from attacking Gohan and scurrying off into the night. Gohan was extremely shooken up, but he helped Piccolo. His master explained everything that had occurred. A long time ago, creatures from that species terrorized planet Namek. They were originally created as a creature to cure diseases, as far as he knew. But it ended up killing most Namekians, except for the Grand Elder. They thought they were all gone and defeated, but it seemed like the destruction of Namek unearthed one last member of that symbiotic race. Gohan asked how Piccolo knew all of that. He slowly turned his head at the child, saying it was written in the Namekian book of legends. Nail knew about it, and now Piccolo does. He suggested getting the other Z-Fighters to approach Goku. If Piccolo himself wasn't enough, then they would need help. Thus, they contacted Krillin, Tien, and Yamcha. They called Bulma to ask if she knew where Vegeta was, but she didn't know. No one had seen Vegeta in months. He was still somewhere in space. Regardless, she wanted in on this action. This creature was fascinating, and she wanted to learn more while also saving Goku. They came together to think of a plan of action. Bulma suggested that if they could bring back a sample of the symbiote, she could study it in order to discover any potential weakness. Gohan asked Piccolo if there was anything from Nail's memories that could help him fight the symbiote, but he shook his head. According to the Elder Guru, he hid himself away for months and months. When he came back to the surface, he found both his people and those monsters dead. Maybe they had just starved to death? However, before they could continue any further in the discussion, the fighters suddenly sensed a large group of power levels dropping fast. People were getting hurt. The symbiote had finally decided to strike. Piccolo looks at Bulma and tells her to head to the lookout. She needs to give Kami a message. Bring the sacred water. She's confused at first, but Piccolo snarls at her. They're running out of time. Bulma warns them all to be careful as the Sea Fighters converge into the center of West City. It was utter chaos. Among the burning cars, shattered windows, and screaming civilians was the grotesque demon himself, Venom. Tendrils extending from his arms, holding down several people as it appeared to be sucking something out of them. They yelled as the body shriveled up and mummified. While most of the Sea Fighters looked on in terror, Krillin and Piccolo are the ones who fired Ki Blast at the aliens' tendrils. Venom looks up, screaming that they rudely interrupted their meal. It's fine though. They look like they'd be much more satisfying meals anyways. The hulking figure charges at the Sea Fighters as they get into their battle stance. The heroes fight Venom, but to no avail. This monster didn't fight like a martial artist, it fought like a feral animal. Its ridiculous strength and unpredictable movements were tossing everyone around like ragdolls. During the battle, Yamcha is thrown into a car, crushing it as the alarm goes off. Suddenly, Venom clasps his hands together against his head, writhing in pain. Gohan looks at the beast, then back at the car. He asks Piccolo if Namekians have any weakness, as he states that high-frequency noises like whistling can incapacitate them. Piccolo himself is covering his ears. Gohan thinks for a while, as he suddenly gets an idea. This might not work, but there aren't any better options. These symbiotes were created by Namekians, and their primary hosts were Namekians. Maybe they shared the same weakness? Gohan yells at everyone to start whistling as Piccolo rips off his ears. Tien and Yamcha are confused at first, but Krillin tells them to trust Gohan. They all start to whistle as Venom cries out in pain, falling to his knees. It appears Gohan's gambit paid off. Seeing their massive opening, all the Sea Fighters dash towards the monster, unleashing a relentless barrage of attacks. Even though Venom tries to defend himself, the Sea Fighters continue to whistle, which greatly disorients the alien. At the same time, Kami arrives at the battlefield holding the sacred water. With this, they might be able to save Goku. They just need the right opportunity. Piccolo barks at them to use their strongest moves, as several Kamehamehas, Masenkos, and Dodonpas are fired directly at the behemoth. Smoke dissipates, and the fighters see Goku standing, with the black goo dripping through his body. Krillin calls out his name and he starts to walk towards him, but Tien calls out to Krillin to take a step back. In an instant, the black goo swallows Goku, reforming into Venom. It lets out a blood-curdling roar. Its eyes turn red as hundreds of tendrils protrude through his body, flailing around at lightning-fast speeds. The demon had gone berserk. The tendrils extended outwards, whipping and slashing anything they connect with. Entire buildings are demolished. All the Sea Fighters can do is block as many blows as possible. Krillin, Yamcha, Tien, and Piccolo are knocked out as Gohan falls to the ground, struggling to stay conscious. Venom laughed triumphantly. The fiend approached Gohan, grabbing his head and bringing him face to face. Its enormous tongue drops from its mouth, and drool falls from it.
Nice tricks, boy, but it wasn't enough. Goku doesn't need you anymore. I'm all he needs. I'm all he'll ever need. I'm tired of these childish games. I'm so hungry. I'm going to enjoy tearing away your flesh. Goodbye, Son Gohan.
Venom opened his jaw. Gohan weakly opened his eyes, with a tear falling from his face.
Daddy, please stop this. I know you're still in there. You're stronger than this. I know you are. Please, keep fighting. I know you can do it. Because you're my dad. Please, I don't want anyone else to get hurt.
Venom cackled, mocking Gohan for believing these words. But in the middle of speaking, Venom suddenly stopped. His body begins to shake as he suddenly lets go of Gohan. Venom screams as he claws away from his own face. Leave my son alone!
But why? Why do you still reject us? I'm all yours, Goku. I'm all you'll ever need.
I was a fool to think I could trust you, and for that, you hurt my family, friends, and countless innocent people. I won't let you hurt anyone else.
But Goku, I saved you back on Namek. I made you stronger. I love you. We need to be together. Without me, you won't be able to stop the androids.
That's not true. I'll get stronger, on my own terms. I don't need you anymore. Venom screeched into the night sky as Goku started to pull the symbiote with his bare hands. The symbiote tried to engulf again, but Goku screamed, turning into a Super Saiyan and resisting even more. Goku yelled out to Kami. He couldn't hold it back any longer. Kami rushed towards his pupil. It was now or never. Goku continued to struggle as Kami poured the sacred water into his mouth. Suddenly, Goku's eyes bolted open as both he and the symbiote cried out in pain. The tendrils dissolved as black goo Buu was bubbling, oozing off Goku like tar. Goku coughed violently as more and more of the symbiote was ejected. The sacred water had done the job, and the symbiote was being purged from Goku's body. Goku continued coughing up the last of the symbiote. He fell to the ground, his arms stretched out, holding his son's hand. It was over. They had defeated this alien menace. As the Z Fighters regained consciousness, Kami congratulated everyone for the valiant effort to defend the planet. Gohan stood up, with Krillin and Yamcha supporting Goku. He apologized to everyone for his selfish behavior. He should have told them about the suit earlier. If he did, none of this would have happened. Gohan smiled at his father, telling him that they're just glad he's okay. He hugs his father, who smiles back before wincing in pain. They need some senzu beans at the Dragon Balls as soon as possible. Right on cue, Bulma arrives with senzu beans and the Dragon Radar in hand. Goku and the others are busy planning their next adventure. Gohan and Piccolo pull back to see Bulma collecting samples of the symbiote. Piccolo wonders out loud if they had really destroyed the monster. Gohan theorizes that the sacred water must have dissolved the symbiote because he doesn't sense him anymore. However, Piccolo sweats nervously as he looks down into the dark sludge. This parasite was able to escape death several times. What if he could do it again? Gohan looks down at the mug nervously, with Piccolo declaring that they need to continue their training for whatever threats may come next. Miles away, a crow is flying freely through the sky. It appears to be wounded as it tries its best to continue to fly. The crow shakes and falls into the nearby city, brushing past the roof of a dojo before clashing into the garden. Just as it appears this crow will perish, a door slides open, revealing a muscular man with an afro.
Hey, who's causing all that racket out here? Why I oughta... Oh, hey there, little guy. Oh, you don't look so good. Oh man, what do I do? Don't worry, I got you. There we go. Don't worry, fella. I'm sure there's a vet clinic open somewhere around here.
A black tentacle or two spurt out from the bird.
I'll get you fixed up real quick, so don't worry about it. After all, I'm the world martial arts champ, Hercule!
Venom.
Following a string of nightmares, Mr. Satan finds himself waking up increasingly tired. Videl, his daughter, asks what he's been doing at night. Even though he is unsure, one thing is clear: his strength has increased. He's finally able to reach a final slab during his performances. But other strange events start to occur. During his daily jogs, he manages to outrun a speeding train. He tries to get into a taxi and accidentally crushes the car door with his bare hands. He even gets shot by robbers while at a bank to deposit a check, but the bullets simply bounce off his chest. Hercule simply brushes it off, thinking this must be because of all his sit-ups and juice he drinks every day. However, he's always hungry. Every night when he falls asleep, he wakes up in a completely different location instead of his bedroom. Satan installs cameras in his house and finally sees a horrific sight: black mass covering his body and rushing out of the residence. By this point, the Z Fighters have already used the Dragon Balls twice. Once to bring back West City, two before Venom's rampage, and another to make the world forget about Venom. As a result, Hercule can't find a single clue about what this black goo is. Even though he searches all through the internet, the symbiote finally decides to reveal itself to Mr. Satan. He was the first human he ever attached himself to, simply because he was so much stronger than all other humans he could find. But he was still a far cry from Goku, the one person he craved for. Satan has a conversation with him while looking into the mirror, and although the symbiote tries to take over, Mr. Satan actually manages to fight him off. The symbiote is extremely weak from the last battle and cannot withstand Satan's willpower. It lashes out because he thinks that Hercule is going to try to kill him, just like Goku and his friends did. But instead, Satan offers him help. He feels the longing within him, the feeling of abandonment. Satan wants to help this symbiote, much like how he helped Buu in the original story, and thus, this bizarre relationship begins. Hercule does try to settle in his new life, with him and the symbiote living together for the next 3 years. And instead of draining people out of their life force, Mr. Satan simply eats more eggs and other protein-heavy foods. Though it takes a while, this does eventually satisfy the symbiote. It even likes chocolate. They actually start to learn more about each other, and even care. Hercule may be a fraud, but he's a genuine good guy who seeks to take care of his daughter, while the symbiote simply wants a place where he belongs. There's still a huge darkness within him, but with Satan he feels like he can mellow out. He doesn't have to kill everyone. The Z Fighters do eventually see Mr. Satan on TV, and they realize that he's very strong, but they don't suspect a thing just yet. They were more focused on training for the android attack. After being bonded with Satan and Goku for so long, the symbiote begins to change. It's no longer violent or wrathful, at least for now. Satan does try to keep it a secret from his daughter, though she's very smart and suspects something, and through his dreams, Mr. Satan begins to recognize some things that the symbiote himself remembers, including Goku and the others, and even a conversation about androids. Mr. Satan wakes up in a cold sweat, asking the symbiote what that was, and finally, it tells him. 3 years from that memory, 2 androids will attack an island close to a city. Mr. Satan can't let this happen, he needs to help out, even though at first he thinks this is just a prank. The symbiote tells him that it's true, and that if he really wants to do something, then he would need his help. Satan looked at himself in the mirror, realizing that whoever this Goku fellow was, did give something to the symbiote. Was it a sense of justice? Wanting to protect others? Or was it just the desire to fight stronger beings? 3 years passed, and Satan patrols the city where the androids are set to appear. It's difficult at first, because everyone recognizes him as the world martial arts champion, and fans start to crowd around Mr. Satan. But he has no choice but to tell them off when an explosion happens nearby, while androids 20 and 19 confront Yamcha. Hercule rolls in from the sky with a dynamite kick. Dr. Gero is actually kicked out, with Mr. Satan saving Yamcha. Hercule says that the android's days are numbered, because he is the world martial arts champ, Mr. Satan. The androids look perplexed. How does he know who they are? They have zero data on this so-called Hercule. They have something on a guy named Mark. Was that him? Without much warning, Satan continued the fight against 19, but it's obvious that he doesn't quite stand a chance just yet. This does attract attention to the Z fighters, however. Goku is impressed, wondering just who this guy is. Krillin does recognize him as a guy he saw on TV, but he seems like a world apart from what he saw. But when Goku and Hercule make eye contact, there is a huge surge of hate through his body, and Goku feels it. He feels the power of the symbiote. Hercule tries his best to calm him down. They have to focus on the androids, but it's clear that Satan is having some trouble, prompting the Z fighters to attack the androids. 19 is about to kill Satan while he loses control of the symbiote, but he is saved by the arrival of a Super Saiyan Vegeta, who blasts the distracted android 19 away with a big bang attack, destroying him. Mr. Satan thanks Vegeta profusely, but he's just disgusted by this human. Goku's heart virus hits as the battle continues, and he is forced to back down. Vegeta continues to step up to the plate, but before Vegeta is finished gloating about his new form, Satan rolls in with a powerful attack that surprises Gero and sends him flying. Krillin thanks Hercule for their help, and he begins to brag, but he's quickly shut down by Piccolo, because now they don't know where Gero went. On their way to the mountains, Krillin and Gohan ask just who he is to Mr. Satan, and he explains as much as he can. When they reach the mountains, everyone splits up. Hercule searches the landscape for Gero, asking Venom what he knows about these guys. He gives a short explanation about the Z fighters, but that he doesn't know much about the androids. That's when he gets attacked by Gero, who tries to drain his energy, but Venom lashes out, temporarily taking full control as he uses the tentacles to grab Gero and hurl him away. Gero is left in shock by this demonic beast, and Venom continues to attack the Doctor. The Z fighters see this and follow close behind, all the way to Gero's lab. That's when all the other Z fighters, besides Goku, feel the fact that this is in fact the symbiote. The Z fighters try to fight off Venom, knowing that he's huge trouble, and resorting to their old tactics of whistling. It appears to work at first, but Venom slowly pushes through the pain. It seemed like he was adapting. Venom starts to take down the Z fighters one by one, with the only real challenge being Vegeta. Even Trunks arrives, and the pair of Super Saiyans attack and nearly defeat the beast, but it manages to both recover and receive a Senkai boost. Thanks to this boost, Venom gets even stronger. Another explosion sounds off near a mountain as the battle continues, and 3 new androids appear. Dr. Gero is now dead, and Trunks believes his mission has failed. He realizes that these are the androids. But this symbiote, he's something different. He's not the same one that destroyed his timeline. The symbiote calms down a little, wanting to see these androids, and some of Satan's face comes out. Piccolo asks why and how he got the symbiote, and Satan tries to explain that he's not a bad guy, he just had a reaction to that Goku guy. Piccolo completely ignores him, but it doesn't matter anyways. The androids are their priority. During the android attack, Satan is able to defend Gohan from 17, much to the symbiote's anger. As Krillin tries to retrieve the injured Z fighters and heal them with senzu beans, he realizes that the symbiote is not holding back, and that the symbiote completely took over Satan once more. The monster is below 17, but he isn't a complete wash. 16 can't move, stating that he's currently occupied analyzing this new phenomenon. Venom is unpredictable and actually catches 17 off guard, nearly absorbing him, when Satan himself stops him. From within, the symbiote simply rips and tears 17, declaring himself to be Venom, the lethal protector of Earth. As long as he's around, they won't do any harm to any innocents anytime soon. 17 got freed and escaped. He wasn't extremely hurt, but it was enough to worry him. But if this Venom guy got a hold of them, he would basically get an infinite supply of energy. The Z-Fighters watched the battle in awe, wondering if Venom can really take out the androids, when 16 finally intervenes, blasting Venom away, saying calmly that his analysis is complete. This is a sentient symbiotic alien that contains trace amounts of Goku's cells, and that it seemed to gain Senkai boost, just like Goku, which it abused to catch up to them. 16 declares that this is enough to fit his mission parameters, and he goes in to try to kill this quote-unquote Goku. The two hulking figures battle out, with Krillin managing to save the twins and move them away from the battle. Trunks chastises Krillin for saving them, but Krillin maintains that he doesn't think they're as bad as he thinks. 16 uses a Hell Flash on Venom, which incinerates the area and defeats Venom. Only Hercule is left in the crater, covered in black goo. 16 goes for one final attack, but Gohan grabs onto Satan and rushes out of there. Tien gets in the way, using a solar flare to distract everyone, and letting Gohan escape, along with everyone else. Mr. Satan is in a horrible condition, and it's gonna take a while to get him back to full health. Kami and Popo allow him to stay at the lookout while he's unconscious. In the meantime, everyone else goes out to try to do more about the androids, waiting for Goku to recover. Thus, the events of the Cell arc play out mostly similar for a while. Cell awakens, attacks, and Kami is forced to fuse with Piccolo, making Dende the new god of Earth. When Dende goes to heal Satan, he discovers that physically he's completely fine. The symbiote was able to regenerate his wounds a long time ago, but something was going on within his mind. For now, they have to leave him be. He'll have to get out of whatever he's dreaming. Satan opened his eyes to find himself in an unfamiliar planet. An old green man stands up and places a hood over his head, heading out. Satan tries to speak, but no words come out. In fact, he doesn't even feel the symbiote. Hercule finds a group of these aliens gathered around a large building. The man, who Hercule was following at the start, begins to chant an incantation. Unknown to him, this was the Namekian language. In the middle of the circle, a light shoots straight up from space, and the chanting grows louder and louder as pink ooze falls down from the tear. The old wizard stopped chanting and coughed profusely. He approached the pink ooze and reached out to it when it enveloped his body. Hercule and the hooded figures watched in awe and fear while the ooze completely covered the old man, turning his skin pink. But he appeared taller, younger, and healthier. The tear disappeared as the group cheered, but Hercule noticed the enchantment circle had started to crackle in a violent purple spark of electricity. These sparkles started to swirl uncontrollably around the circle where the old man now stood as shades of black filled the room. The old man screamed in pain, and the goo that covered his body changed from pink to black. Hercule recognized this. This was Venom. The monster attacked various Namekians, and the wizards ran in fear, while some tried to stop him with magic, and other warriors tried to attack. But the symbiote seemed unstoppable, even creating others, almost as if he had children. Mr. Satan hid behind a rock while the attack continued. He put his hands over his ears, breathing heavily. He did not want to hear these cries until the sound stopped. Satan opened his eyes and finally looked around to find death and destruction. Venom looked down, breathing heavily. Surrounding it was a pile of bodies, with multicolored goo dripping from them all, tears streaming down. Mr. Satan cried. Everyone was right. He truly was a monster. Nothing good could ever come out of him. He needed to be destroyed. Venom stayed quiet as he looked up to the sky. He noticed that it seemed like tears were falling from Venom's eyes. The symbiote's skin bubbled as he punched the ground, causing massive earthquakes. Eventually, Hercule sees that Venom reached the planet's core. Hot magma spews from around the landscape, and Venom stares into the fiery pit. Mr. Satan reaches out for Venom as it seems like he looked at him, but Venom took a step back instead, falling into the ravine, into the magma. Hercule rushes over to the crater, and he sees Venom set ablaze, being consumed by the planet's core. That's when Mr. Satan awakens in a cold sweat. Hercule grasps for air. He wasn't in an alien planet anymore. This looked like a bedroom. Popo and Dende enter the room, and Hercule thinks he's been kidnapped. The pair manage to calm him down and explain the situation. He slowly remembers everything, realizing that some kid saved him. A kid he hated. He shook his head. No, that wasn't him. That was the symbiote. Dende catches Satan up, explaining that the Cell Games will happen in a few days, and that some of them are training. Hercule asks just how long he's been out, when Popo says that he was asleep for a few days. He begins to freak out, realizing that he left Videl alone. He thanks the pair for looking out for them. Popo requests that he stays a bit longer, but Mr. Satan has to go now. There's people in the world that need him. Almost instinctively, Mr. Satan flies away. He returns to his daughter, who slaps him for being away for too long. She was very strong. It actually hurt him. He apologizes profusely, and finally tucks her into bed, promising to go to a theme park the next morning. Mr. Satan then goes to his bedroom and looks at himself in the mirror. The symbiote appears from Hercule's clothes, asking if the nightmare he saw was a real memory. Venom nods. Everything he saw actually happened. That's how the Namekians were nearly destroyed so long ago. They tried to recreate a being that was primordial, something named Buu, and he was the result of that cloning process. Satan says that he realizes now that their union is a curse, that as soon as the world is safe, Venom is done for. Venom tries to argue, but Satan doesn't hear it. All he wants to talk about is defeating the Cell guy. Venom suggests absorbing people to get stronger, just like Cell had done. Satan refused, explaining that he's not fighting like that. He needs to take care of his daughter, and he doesn't want to hurt others. Satan gives the symbiote a final ultimatum. They will remain bonded together, so that they can fight Cell. However, if they survive this, and Cell is defeated, they will remove their connection. Venom tries to convince Hercule that they need each other, but Hercule gets mad, yelling at the symbiote that he and his daughter won't be another one of those snacks, just like the green people were. Venom goes quiet and agrees to the deal. Mr. Satan takes Videl out to the theme park for an apology, having a lot of fun. Videl jokingly asks if her dad can defeat Cell, and Satan laughs. Apparently she had seen the television screening. But after the theme park, Satan took Videl out to train, but this wasn't just regular training, as he showed his daughter a small yellow ball of ki emanating from his palm. Hercule tells Videl that he's the champion of the world. He has some powers, so she should never worry. He'll save everyone, including her, but he admits that he doesn't know if he should get involved with Cell. Videl looks at her father seriously, saying that he has to do what's right, just like he taught her. With determination, Satan leaves Videl with his students and headed towards the Cell Games arena to fight alongside the symbiote one last time. Mr. Satan and the rest of the Z-Fighters arrive at the Cell Games, shaking hands. Goku and him finally get a proper introduction, with Satan happy to see another world martial arts champion, along with Tenshinhan. Satan did his best to keep the symbiote calm, though the fighters noticed that something was bothering him. He assured them that he was a-okay. If that 16 freak were to show up again, he'd turn him into scrap metal. And, of course, 16 appears behind Hercule, saying that he's non-recyclable. Hercule jumps in fright and freaks out. Krillin explains they reprogrammed 16, and he's on their side now. Hercule regains his composure and apologizes to 16, thanking him for joining their fight. 16 states he simply wants to save the world. Goku approaches Mr. Satan and asks how the symbiote is doing. Hercule summons a few tendrils in his hand, as he says that the symbiote seems to be calm, answering each of his thoughts and commands for now. He does say that he is worried though, that it's been far too quiet lately. He has been training, but, well, it really wasn't fun for him. Before anyone asks what he means by that, Cell decides to speak up and welcomes everyone to the Cell Games. With everyone's arrival, the games commence. The first person to step up to the ring is Hercule. Cell frowns, asking why this clown thinks he can face him, but Satan simply stares down at Cell. No boasting nor showboating. Hercule is completely focused on Cell. He takes off his cape and declares that Cell won't be hurting anyone else. Cell chuckles, asking him to bring it. In fact, he's willing to give him a free shot. Goku says that Cell shouldn't underestimate Hercule, and before Cell can wonder why, the human charges towards him and punches a hole through the bio-android. Cell is completely dumbfounded, and even the Z-Fighters are surprised. Hercule was this strong? Cell didn't have any defenses up. He didn't expect this. Cell gets rushed down with a barrage of kicks and punches, and he is forced to go on the defensive. He's furious but intrigued. After regenerating, the android asks Mr. Satan for his name, as well as apologizing for brushing him off as a joke. He wonders how a normal Earthling could have gotten this strong, and he says it's because of his vegetables, drinking milk, and staying in school, winking towards the camera. Cell says that it doesn't matter anyways. They'll just have an interesting fight. The two clash once again, and the battle intensifies, with the Z-Fighters left speechless at the level of power and display. Piccolo wonders out loud just how Satan got this amount of power in such a short time. Cell's counterattack starts to overwhelm Hercule, and he's forced to unveil the symbiote's power. creating tendrils to grab onto Cell and throw him away from him. Cell is even more intrigued, and he demands to see everything he's got, as Cell uses more of his techniques, such as multiform, death beams, and telekinesis. Mr. Satan uses more of the symbiote's abilities too. In a move that shocks everyone, Mr. Satan bulks up. It almost looks like a Super Saiyan. He's even glowing with the same aura. Cell asks for the meaning of this, and Gohan suddenly realizes something. If the symbiote adapts by gaining abilities from the creature it bonds with, that means the symbiote gained Goku's abilities to turn into a Super Saiyan. Satan chimes in, saying that getting this power wasn't easy. He realized that he got stronger after nearly dying to 16. He deduced that maybe he could get stronger if he almost dies again. So, for the past few days, during his free time, Hercule would blast and seriously injure himself. After the symbiote would heal him, he noticed that he would get a little bit stronger every time. Motivated to defeat Cell and protect his daughter, he isn't a Super Saiyan, but the symbiote is mimicking the transformation. Within the suit itself, Satan is normal. Hercule charges a Kamehameha, but before Cell can get away, the symbiote grabs onto Cell with the tendrils. He fires the beam, which blows off the top half of Cell. Hercule and the others believe they've won, but Goku yells at Hercule to get out of the way, but before the human can react, he's pierced by several death beams. Cell wasn't killed, he just regenerated. The android says that he had a lot of fun, but the battle is over. It's time to move on from this toy. Hercule falls to the ground and starts to heal, but Cell appears in front of him, locking Satan in a bear hug and activating his android barrier, completely electrocuting Hercule. He screams in pain as the symbiote twists and coils away from his body, laughing at the Z-Fighters. He's barely alive when Krillin gives him a senzu bean. Hercule recovers and realizes that he can't feel the symbiote anymore. Cell must have killed it, but there's no time to mourn. Next up is Goku versus Cell, an amazing fight where Goku and Cell seem almost matched, but Satan realizes something is moving on the ground. Satan's eyes widen while he runs towards the arena, but Tien and Piccolo stop him. Satan yells at Cell to get away, but it's too late. The symbiote strikes, latching itself onto Cell. He tries to open his aura again to defeat the symbiote, but the being is already deep in his circulatory system. Cell struggles, but he's eventually enveloped by the parasite. Everyone watches in terror as the symbiote finishes bonding with Cell, creating a new, more horrifying Venom than ever seen before. Satan knew he couldn't trust Venom again. He was using this as a chance to take revenge on Goku. He should have known Venom was still using him. Venom Cell feels power, true power, beyond his own perception of perfection. Hercule asks Venom would he do something like that, but Venom simply scoffs, saying that Satan was going to abandon him anyways, just like Goku had before. All he had left now was revenge. He wanted to hurt the martial artist, so they could feel the pain he felt. Cell was the perfect instrument for his revenge. Satan couldn't believe it, but if the symbiote was affected by whoever he bonded to, then Cell would corrupt him even further. This was truly dangerous. Goku attempted to utilize instant transmission and the Kamehameha, but Venom sees it coming. As Goku teleports to Venom to launch the blast, Venom places 2 fingers on his forehead, teleporting behind Goku in the blink of an eye.
You may know everything I'm going to do, but I know everything you're going to do. Strange, isn't it?
Mr. Satan couldn't do anything but watch as the Z-Fighters jump into action. Venom easily dodges and weaves nearly every attack, but they were boring him, so he created multiple smaller symbiote-covered Cell Juniors. They all had different colors, though the red one seemed to be the most vile. Goku does what he can to defend his friends, with Gohan right by his side, but when it is obvious that he doesn't stand a chance, Goku turns to his son and pleads with him to go all out to save the world. The Venom symbiote begins to absorb Goku relentlessly. He drops out of Super Saiyan. His arm goes limp. Gohan can't feel much of his power anymore. 16 jumps in the way of the tendrils, snapping them off, but the symbiote simply 16 instead, devouring him whole. This was the last piece Gohan needed to snap into Super Saiyan 2. His power was massive, unlike anything they've ever felt before. Vegeta and Trunks couldn't help but cheer Gohan on as he defeated the various Cell Juniors, with the symbiotes disintegrating at the torch of his aura. While Gohan does this, Satan takes a chance to look at Cell, pleading with Venom to return to him instead. Venom rejects him, saying he was about to abandon him like everyone else, but Hercule says that he was wrong. He's willing to accept Venom back and never let him go again. If he can only just stop hurting everyone. Venom is left stunned, which causes the Cell inside to start speaking, saying that he isn't going to stand for this, and he'll kill everyone here. Unlike the original story, Gohan and Cell are a lot more equal than before. It isn't a complete beatdown, and it's unclear who would win, but Venom was smart. He wasn't going to give up his chance to finally kill Goku and his son. They remained calm and collected, In fact, giving Gohan a chance to get the upper hand let him get too cocky. But it seems like they came to a standstill. Cell and Venom both wanted to kill Goku when Gohan realized he couldn't win alone. Goku put a hand on his son's shoulder, telling him that they're all here together. The Z-Fighters line up, charging up a blast, but Venom knew Goku inside and out. He knew how to stop him. Mr. Satan jumped in front of Cell, expanding his arms. He knew Venom deserved it, but he could be punished a different way. Cell slapped him away with a tentacle, saying he doesn't need his help. Once he slapped away, it is revealed that Cell had expanded, threatening to destroy the world. They can fire the blast, but they will doom the world as well. Gohan instantly drops the blast along with everyone else. He went back to normal, pointing at Gohan and egging him on. Their final battle was just beginning. It was his fault they were separated from their beloved Goku. The battle continued, with Goku helplessly watching the battle on between Cell and his son. It looked like things were really over. Mr. Satan spoke up from behind Goku, saying that this was his fault. He looked at Venom's face, remembering what it was like to be with it. It hurt him so. Goku told him it wasn't his fault. This is what the symbiote does. Use the user, hurt others. If it is anyone's fault, it's Goku's, since he brought it to Earth. Satan said that something was wrong though, because the symbiote was starting to change. It really seemed to care for him, his daughter, and other people. It was grieving, but moving on. It wasn't total evil. Goku sighed, saying that he hoped the same when he had the symbiote, but he was blinded, and sadly, there is no hope for it. Without another word, Goku flew towards the symbiote in order to help Gohan.
It's over, Son Gohan. You took me away from Son Goku. Now I will take you away from him.
The monster cupped his hands, charging up a corrupted green and black Kamehameha. The other Z-Fighters were hurt. They could only watch while Gohan fired his own Kamehameha. The beams clashed, but Cell clearly had the upper hand. Vegeta threw a blast at Cell, but one of his tendrils pierced through Vegeta. It didn't kill him, but it did put him out of commission. Gohan wouldn't be able to hold it for much longer. Goku jumped in behind, helping as much as he could, telling him to let it all out, but Gohan was still struggling. But Mr. Satan stood there, watching the blast. He knew he had to do something. He remembered all the times with the symbiote, even the nightmare he had of the memories on Namek. The symbiote was a vile being, but they became friends. He found himself taking steps towards Cell. He couldn't stop. Krillin told him to wait, but Mr. Satan wasn't listening. He was still very strong, but now he was just a normal human. He didn't have the symbiote, but he didn't need it. He had his heart. He had his word. Mr. Satan was behind Cell, and he yelled out,
Venom, even if we saw things differently, I still need you. We can forget about Goku. We can go back to saving the city. Think of Adele. She needs someone to protect her. Please, you are my friend.
Cell laughed, saying that those words are gonna do nothing, but when he tried to attack with the symbiote, it didn't react. Cell had to focus on the blast. He couldn't do anything about this. The android began to say no, 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 over and over again. Mr. Satan continued to explain that he needed him, that he knew he had changed. They had become warriors for justice together. They had become friends. They can be together again. The symbiote began to slowly tear off of Cell, and it jumped towards Mr. Satan. Suddenly, Cell's blast became much smaller. Goku yelled out, "Now!" with both him and Gohan pushing it forward. The blast was obviously going to consume Cell. Tien and the others watched in awe, but realized that Mr. Satan was behind there. He would be hit by the blast too. Mr. Satan didn't care. He had his arms open for the symbiote. He was just glad to have defended Earth. But the symbiote wasn't about to let his friend, his one true friend, die. While Cell was being consumed, the symbiote would not reach Mr. Satan in time to protect him, to make himself his suit again. It had only one choice. It expanded out, making itself a shield for Mr. Satan. Satan's eyes widened, tears streaming from them. He could see the Satan Dojo symbol on the symbiote. It screeched as it was killed. The blast dissipated, taking the symbiote along with him. It was finally over. Mr. Satan dropped to the ground. It was silent. Gohan went over to him, saying that it was thanks to him that they could win. Mr. Satan nodded. He knew that he had helped, but he had also lost a friend. Goku said that perhaps he was wrong about the symbiote. Perhaps he could have changed even more. He was sorry that this stupid rivalry between himself and the Red Ribbon Army cost so much. But he offered to bring the symbiote back with the Dragon Balls. Mr. Satan shook his head. No, they couldn't do that. It had caused a lot of pain. It was a bad guy. He gave him a second chance. It wasn't enough. Mr. Satan thanked them and said that they would keep in touch, but that for now, he just wanted to go back to his daughter. Goku smiled and patted him on the back, waving goodbye. Mr. Satan jumped up, waiting to fly away, but he dropped down. He couldn't fly anymore. It was a symbiote that helped him do that. But he felt someone grab his hand. It was Gohan. He smiled brightly at him, saying that he doesn't need the symbiote to fly anymore, because he's got a lot more friends now that will help him do that. Mr. Satan was very impressed by this kid. He was very smart for his age, and he had quite an outlook on life. He then nodded and told him that him and his daughter would probably get along. They seem about the same age. She's a great martial artist too. Gohan laughed, blasting off, taking Mr. Satan back to his home. It was finally time for the Z Fighters, including Mr. Satan, to rest. Sometime after the Cell Games, during a rainy night, Vegeta visits his home. He talks to Bulma, saying he loves her and that he's sorry, but he'll probably do something he'll regret. And he wanted to see her before he turned into a monster. She asks what he's talking about, but Vegeta doesn't answer. Instead, he goes to see baby Trunks sleeping one last time. With a melancholic smile on his face, he flies away as he feels something coming over him. A darkness that envelops him. This is exactly what he needed for his final battle against Kakarot. In his home, Goku is suddenly woken up, with Chi-Chi screaming. Gohan runs into the bedroom to see Vegeta standing over Goku, covered in red goo. Something's not right. Without a warning, Goku's taken by surprise, Vegeta throwing him through the wall and into a mountain. Goku realized where he was being taken, to the place where they first fought. Vegeta only had one thing in mind: fighting Kakarot. Goku and Vegeta strike their classic poses, both turning into Super Saiyans and starting the fight. Goku can't believe it, but Vegeta has been taken over by the symbiote. But even beyond that, there was something deep within Vegeta that was dark. Even when Goku had the Venom symbiote, he didn't feel like this. Something was wrong, beyond just Vegeta using Carnage. Vegeta starts to give Goku the beating of his life, giving him strong, deadly strikes, his power out of this world. Meanwhile, Gohan attempts to go after them, but he's stopped dead in his tracks by two other beings. They introduce themselves as Bobidi and Dabura. They weren't going to let their best chance at collecting energy to be stopped by some kid. Gohan didn't have time for this, and though he was surprised to see how powerful Dabura was, he burst into Super Saiyan to challenge him. He didn't know what was going on, but he didn't care. He needed to get them both out of the way to help his dad. The fight began. What the hell? Vegeta, why are you trying to kill me? Asks Goku, but his own response was a kick to the face and a broken nose. After a few more strikes, Goku was already extremely battle damaged, with his energy slowly decreasing. I don't know what's gone into you, but you really got me there. I truly thought that you had changed. Vegeta starts shaking, red goo consuming more of his body as a mouth finally covers his face, screaming out loud, the symbiote. But Carnage instantly rushes at Goku. In the heat of the moment, Goku screams out, Super Kaioken! Making himself a ki bomb that explodes in red and yellow. Carnage is pushed back, burning and screaming, but Goku had used a lot of energy already just to do that. He was in base now, barely holding on, but though Carnage was hurt, he regenerated back, walking over to Goku and stabbing him through the chest with a tendril, his other hand burning up a ki blast. He was about to end it all. Goku gulps, catching his breath, but something grabs him and teleports him away. Carnage is confused, but he screams in anger, turning to look for someone else, but he could feel a call to the battle between Dabura and Gohan. He begins to fly away. Goku opens his eyes at the lookout. He was being healed by a stranger, one small being and another tall one, who present themselves as the Kaioshin and Kibito. Back on the surface, Gohan was in the midst of battle against Dabura when Tien, Krillin, Piccolo, and Yamcha appear. They sensed an incredible energy they haven't felt since the Cell fight, but as they looked for him, Goku had teleported away. They instead felt Gohan in need of their help. Dabura instantly attacked them, spitting at Piccolo and Tien Tien, turning them into stone and blasting Krillin and Yamcha away easily. Gohan burst in anger at seeing Piccolo hurt, attacking Dabura relentlessly and flashing into Super Saiyan 2. Yamcha saw how dangerous the situation was. There was something weird going on. He flies away, not running. Instead, he had a plan. Gohan tries to interrogate Dabura, but the Demon King doesn't give any answers, saying that if he wants his friends back, he'll have to defeat him. Fair enough. Gohan's anger had pushed him to the limit, giving Dabura a hardcore beating. Not only is this Gohan stronger than the one in Buu, as he's not rusty, but he had the anger boost from what happened to Tien and Piccolo. After a few punches, after a bit of fighting, it was clear that Dabura wasn't going to win, and Bobidi was already trying to come up with a new plan, but before he could act, Dabura was blasted away to shreds by Yamasenko. Gohan smirked as he turned to look at the stone, Piccolo and Tien going back to normal. Bobidi is afraid. He didn't expect this power to be unlocked by anger. Gohan's wrath had been unleashed. Maybe that's what Bobidi needed. He returned to the shadows before he could be spotted. He gathered some good energy, but it wasn't nearly enough to revive Buu just yet. Carnage Vegeta appeared in the scene answering Bobidi's call, while Piccolo and Tien were recomposing themselves. Gohan realizes how dangerous the situation is and tells the others to run away, but they decline. They tell him that they are going to support him no matter what. Thus, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan begins to fight Carnage Vegeta in an intense battle. They're actually rather even, with Gohan doing a lot better than Goku was during the Cell games. Plus, the help from the others guaranteed a victory, or so he thought, because even though Makan Kozapos, Kikohos, and Kiensans flew everywhere, it was still a hard-fought battle. At the lookout, Shin and Kibito explained the situation to Goku. The symbiotes are remnants of ancient attempts to recreate an evil being known as Majin Buu. Now, Bobidi and Dabura were planning to awaken him. They had to be careful, because they had no idea what would happen if the symbiote came in contact with Buu. They had to stop him before he collected enough energy to revive him. Goku is worried about Vegeta and Gohan's fight, but Shin tells him that they have to first wait until Bobidi makes his move to know what their plan is. Gohan seems very strong. He might win, but Vegeta starts to get more violent towards Gohan, becoming more feral and unpredictable. Goku is tired of watching his son getting beat up, telling Shin that none of this matters, as he flies down to collect some senzu beans and teleports in to kick Vegeta in the face, saving Gohan. He gives his son the senzu bean. Now they might have a chance to win. They'll fight together now. Goku and Gohan start battling Carnage with Tien, Krillin, and Piccolo as support. Gohan is the main attacker as Goku uses his martial arts to maneuver around Carnage Vegeta, giving Gohan openings to strike. Yamcha appears at Mr. Satan's house. He recalled how Mr. Satan saved him from the androids. He was able to stand up to Cell. Perhaps the power of the symbiote remained in him. Yamcha knocks on the door, and a yawning Mr. Satan greets him, asking if he wanted an autograph. Yamcha explains the situation, and Mr. Satan is shocked, but says that he can't help. After all, Venom is gone. He sacrificed himself against Cell. Yamcha mentions that the symbiote had a crazy regeneration technique. Maybe there's a way to bring him back, and he thinks he knows a way. Bulma. From a distance, Carnage Vegeta was slowly being subdued, but he felt Yamcha going towards Capsule Corp. His Vegeta side felt a hint of jealousy and anger. He wasn't going to let anyone near Bulma. He opens his Crimson Ore up, pushing everyone back and giving him the right opening to escape and rush towards Capsule Corp. The rest of the Z fighters follow him close behind, and as soon as he reaches Capsule Corp, Goku appears in front of him. With instant transmission, he had to continue the fight. Whatever Yamcha was doing in there had to be a plan. They had to keep Vegeta back. They tried to keep him above the city in order to minimize damages. Mr. Satan meets Bulma, and she is informed about the situation. They chat about how she was researching the Venom symbiote, and she thinks she might have a way to bring him back, welcoming in a genetic specialist by the name of Dr. Michael Morbius. Satan is surprised upon looking at Morbius. He actually seems pretty strong. Morbius dismisses it, saying that
Pilates helps.
Outside, the warriors fall one by one. Krillin, Piccolo, even Tien after his final Kikoho. Gohan was powering up even further to keep Carnage at bay, and so was Goku, who was almost out of breath. Inside of Capsule Corp, Bulma watches as Dr. Morbius injects Mr. Satan with a syringe. Mr. Satan says that he doesn't think it worked, but his eyes turn white, and black goo covers him before he can finish the sentence. As it seems that Carnage is about to enter Capsule Corp, a being slashes through his tentacles.
Back off, punk. We are the world champion. Stay back, Goku. We'll take it from here.
Venom had returned. Bobidi was looking at the battle from far away and something caught his interest. A surge of anger, a great spike of energy once again, all coming from Gohan. This is what he needed. He knew it now. Venom instantly jumped towards Carnage, grabbing him by the chest and launching him towards the ground, shaking it and splitting it into two. Carnage regenerates, with spikes coming out of his body and piercing Venom, who took a step back and got kicked in the face. Carnage launched another kick, but this time Venom grabbed it by his mouth, biting it with all his might. Like an animal with his prey, Carnage screamed as Venom ripped the tentacle-like leg off. Carnage regenerated, but the pain wouldn't go unpunished. They weren't martial artists anymore, just opposite forces of nature, hunting each other. Goku yelled at Gohan to launch his strongest Kamehameha, as it seemed like even with his strength, Mr. Satan was slowly losing. Venom was already beaten to the ground, with Carnage's foot on his chest, but was surprised by Gohan's beam straight to the face, sent flying meters away. Goku didn't wait a single second as he helped Venom back up. I guess you've got to figure out now.
Yeah. Even though we're back, we're not strong enough to deal with him. At least, not with me as the host.
I'm sorry I have to do this, Mr. Satan, but I promise I'll return him to you once we're done. If it weren't this situation, I wouldn't even think of wearing it again.
Yeah. Right. Just give me a second, okay? We're having a bit of an issue. I don't think he wants to.
Huh? Carnage roared from the distance, charging his corrupted ki. He rushed forward towards the group. Mr. Satan?
Wait a minute.
Come on now, any day. Carnage was reaching the group, nothing could stop him now. Venom!
Here we go.
Carnage received a punch to the face as the black goo finished covering Goku. The Saiyan raced on Earth and the Venom symbiote were one once again. Now with Super Saiyan hair, his golden glowing kanji on his chest, he was stronger than ever before. Carnage stood up once more, both Saiyans looking at each other with caution. With the sound of lightning striking, both of them rushed against each other, starting their second round. Carnage was kicking, punching and scratching, but by this point, Goku already had a good grasp on his primitive movements. He was dodging and attacking in precise moments. After all, Goku was 100% conscious, and it seemed like Vegeta wasn't. Even though Carnage tried to extend his arms and catch Goku, the low-class Saiyan used this in his favor, grabbing the tendrils and pushing Vegeta towards him, finishing the combo with a spinning kick that launched Carnage towards a mountain. But Goku had to seal the deal now. Carnage slowly stood up once more, barely able to hold himself when he was grabbed by two long tendrils. Venom extended his arms and jumped towards Vegeta, grabbing him and keeping him still. Carnage tried to escape, but it was useless. Venom jumped towards him, and two extra arms came out of Venom's chest, charging a Kamehameha and blasting him point blank. Red Goo finally detaching from Vegeta as he received the ki blast, finally landing on the ground, beaten. It was all over, or was it? They realized something. A dark M marked on Vegeta's forehead. Goku could feel his heart beating fast. Did this have something to do with that Majin whatever guy Shin warned him about? Goku grabbed Vegeta's body and carried him towards the rest of the group. Everyone celebrated for a moment, but Goku wasn't quite happy just yet. Was Vegeta conscious at all with what happened? Would he hate them all once he woke up still? Thankfully, Vegeta was still alive. He could feel it. Goku gently put Vegeta's body on the ground, but as they continued to discuss what to do, and Goku was about to give the Venom symbiote back, they heard a bone crack. They looked at Vegeta on the ground, moving in unusual ways, all his arms and broken bones cracking back into his regular state. It was the symbiote. Before anyone could do anything, Red Goo engulfed Vegeta once more, granting him a huge Zenkai boost as spikes extended out from everywhere, injuring every fighter. Goku was hit right on the head. Without the symbiote, it could have been death, but he was saved. Goku could swear he saw King Yama for a split second, but it didn't matter now. The battle had to continue. Carnage roared, going berserk. Bobidi was looking from far away, getting scared. If he stayed there, he might die, but if he was able to collect enough energy to revive Buu, not only would he survive, but accomplish his plan. He just needed a little extra push. Looking over at Gohan once more, his quiet anger slowly rising. Just a few hours ago, they told him how his potential, his power, was the ultimate defense for Earth's safety after the defeat of of Cell. He was given the merit of being the Earth's strongest warrior, but he felt useless now. Afraid, unable to help in the slightest way, but he then felt something again. Bobidi, the wizard they've been chasing. He appeared once more. He was in his mind. Gohan began to look around, but he couldn't find him. He couldn't let him in. Gohan started to feel his potential power awakening within his strength. If he just focused on helping everyone, maybe he could beat Bobidi's influence and save them all. He just had to try. But was there any other way to defeat Vegeta now? Maybe this was the power that was needed. An explosion of power was felt in the area, catching Carnage's attention. Bobidi was laughing. He did it. He possessed one of the greatest warriors in the universe. As the golden glow started to dissipate, Gohan had awoken more of his hidden potential with his Majin mark on his forehead. For the first time, Carnage stood still, patient, calculating, thinking of how to approach him. They were both now under Bobidi's control. Majin Gohan started to walk towards Carnage, not afraid anymore. Carnage roared, once again redirecting all his tendrils towards Gohan, but they were burned off when touching Gohan's aura. Bobidi tried to keep them from fighting each other, but it was useless. Gohan's resolve to finish off Vegeta was too strong, and Vegeta's desire to fight the strongest beings in the universe was even greater. He couldn't believe it. He had miscalculated. These Saiyans were too strong to control. Gohan smiled as he kicked Carnage, sending him flying hundreds of meters away. Gohan launched towards him, punching him even further. Goku warned everyone to fly towards Kami's lookout. Things were about to get ugly, and as he said so, he returned the symbiote to Mr. Satan. He didn't want to fight him like this. He didn't need it anymore. Carnage was now in the desert, quickly getting up and headbutting Gohan, but as he roared, all he could see was a Masenko coming right to his face. Gohan jumped back up, kicking him. Both of them clashed fists, creating shockwaves that teared apart the desert. Bobidi smiled. Even if he lost one of his men during this fight, the energy he was collecting was unbelievable. And eventually, once Buu was revived, he could simply make him kill them both. This was it. He started to feel Buu's egg opening. The energy he gathered was beyond anything he could have expected. In a matter of minutes, Buu would finally spawn. Majin Gohan stopped fighting. Carnage too. Every warrior, Goku, Mr. Satan, Piccolo was frozen in fear, sensing the awakening of a tremendous power. As Shin and Kibito's hope decreased dramatically, they knew they had acted too slow. They should have stopped these Saiyans when they had the chance. They had meant doom for the universe. Majin Gohan realized what he'd done. He didn't think of the big picture, the actual enemy, but it didn't matter. He'd make it out. He'd make up for it. He tries to reason with Carnage, but it's impossible. The symbiote keeps attacking and roaring, but eventually the threat of Buu starts to slow him down. That power was truly something else, even stronger than Gohan. He salivated at another challenge. Gohan mentions how Vegeta was only able to beat his father thanks to the symbiote. Being the proud prince that he is, for a second he's actually ashamed. He took a shortcut because he knew he wasn't strong enough. The situation wasn't any different than the Cell and the androids, and this got under Vegeta's skin. Slowly but surely, Carnage stopped. He stood still as his face started to melt down to reveal Vegeta.
I didn't ask for this.
Yet, Gohan didn't care.
Did you even try to fight it? Ashamed. Because I was right there with you, but I did it for the right reasons. You did it selfishly. No, you don't care about that though. All you care about is fighting my father fairly, and you haven't been able to do that yet.
Vegeta was silent. Only now was he realizing he had given up his humanity for power. Not a single word came from his mouth.
Hear me out, Vegeta. We still have a chance to redeem our mistakes, but we'll have to do it together. Are you in or out?
Vegeta looked at Buu's direction, and then back at Gohan. He shook his head, agreeing. Both of them launched towards Buu. The pink cloud of smoke had revealed the ultimate being, Majin Buu. But before he had any chance to joke about, Gohan and Vegeta were already crashing against him, sending him flying far away. Bobidi was about to protest, but a spiky tendril pierced him. He was down for the count, just like that, Vegeta telling him that no one else would ever control him again. Buu stood back up, angry. Who were these people and why were they attacking him out of nowhere? It didn't matter. They'd both die instantly. Majin Gohan and Carnage clashed with Buu, shaking the entire earth in the process. It's one of the toughest battles any of them had ever had. But this Buu guy had both the raw power and the symbiote's capabilities. Gohan was eventually beaten down, and Vegeta couldn't keep up anymore. Buu pushed Gohan far away and elongated his arms towards Vegeta, but he did the same, both tendrils connecting, trying to grab each other. But something weird happened. The Carnage symbiote felt a connection with Buu. Without both of them even realizing it, they were starting to get closer and closer. The symbiote and Buu's own beings started to slowly merge. By the time Vegeta realized what was going on, it was too late. He screamed screamed and tried to fight it, but eventually a mutual absorption engulfed both of them. Buu and Carnage were now one being. Gohan didn't know what to think. He could barely stand up after the fight against Buu, but the power he was feeling, it was the very definition of lost hope. A mighty roar was heard across the entire planet, shaking it, collapsing buildings. Gohan desperately charged his energy and flew towards the creature, but a single swipe of a tendril, he was down once again, unconscious. He was neither Vegeta nor Buu. He was Carnage. No, that's not right either. He was Maximum Carnage. His tendrils began to expand all over the desert, reaching the city and piercing through buildings and structures. From the lookout, Goku yelled at the rest of the fighters to go help the civilians. It's the least they can do for now. Mr. Satan was going to jump to the rescue, but Shin and Kibito interrupted him, saying that they might have a chance to beat Buu, even in this situation. He had to train with the Sea Sword. But Mr. Satan refused. He had to secure his daughter's safety. Yamcha said that he'd go rescue her. He insisted that Mr. Satan had to go train and get stronger to defeat the abominations. Mr. Satan hesitated but agreed, pleading with Yamcha to secure his darling Videl. Shin, Kibito, and Mr. Satan disappeared. Goku was also interrupted by Bulma, whom he had taken to the lookout as well. She said that there was an alternate route to beat Carnage, aside from a weird sword. A few years ago, she took a Venom sample after their first encounter with it. She experimented with it, analyzed it, trying to figure out a way to use it without making the user lose consciousness, or a way to kill it if it ever returned. Surprisingly, she found both. Goku told her to finish the story and tell him what's so important about this. They're running out of time. Bulma took out a white syringe. She said that now that Goku had recently reconnected with the symbiote, this might work even better. Piccolo and the rest of the warriors approached the desolate area where red goo and tendril-like veins covered various buildings, cars, and roads. Piccolo helped Gohan stand back up. He told them about the plan. Gohan was glad to catch a break. He was still too injured. Yamcha approached Gohan and asked him if he could escort him to Mr. Satan's house. They needed to ensure the safety of Videl. Both of them flew towards there, while Piccolo and the rest went to different areas of the planet as the symbiote expanded. They find little Videl, defiant. Who were they? What was that red goo? And where was her dad? Gohan presented himself, and he said that they were both there, sent by her dad to take her to safety. Videl pouts, but watching on the news about these weird creatures, she had no other choice but to accept. Gohan carried Videl to the lookout, followed by Yamcha. Once she was safe, all these warriors reunited. Even the androids tried to attack the tendrils in the city, but it was getting out of control. The buildings were getting infested with pink and red goo, and they couldn't track the source because every single tendril had a key signature. But they stood back to back, ready for anything.
What's going on? Strike him this! Strike him this!
Oh boy, looks like I'm up.
No!
Get away with this!
Piccolo!
It's not over yet.
Bulma tries to reason with Carnage. Part of Carnage even appears before Bulma. As she tries to reason with it, she hoped that her husband was still inside there one way or the other. But Carnage roared and attacked Bulma, several tendrils launching right at her as she closed her eyes. Yet nothing happened. When she opened her eyes back up, she saw Goku, wearing a white gi, holding onto the tendrils as they sizzled in his hand. Goku kicks Carnage, sending him far away. Goku looked at Bulma with a smile on his face.
I'm sorry it took so long, Bulma. I entered the time chamber to figure out how this new symbiote worked, but now I'm ready to fight. Get somewhere safe.
In a flash, he leaped towards Carnage as Bulma started to leave the scene, hoping that the prince would end up okay. Goku was burning maximum Carnage with his attacks, but the power difference was still very huge, so Goku turned into a Super Saiyan, but something was off. It seemed like whatever he was using mutated his Super Saiyan form. The battle was still very difficult, but Goku was slowly being regenerated and getting stronger thanks to his Saiyan anatomy. Maximum Carnage was getting angrier and more wild, and as he did so, Goku started to explode exploit his regeneration by trying to push his Super Saiyan form to the next level, without any fear of drawbacks. Goku became even stronger with his hair being spikier, mutating once more, but it wasn't enough. Goku knew he had to go even further. He pushed off Carnage and started to charge his ki as much as possible, resulting in an explosion that burned Carnage. When the dust settled, Goku revealed his full power, his Berserker state, his anti-venom power. Both of them clashed again, with Goku still being a little behind, but stronger and stronger with every attack. When their fight started to break the planet apart, Goku launched a ferocious roundhouse kick to maximum carnage and fired a ton of ki blast at the tendrils, freeing the city slowly. However, Goku was aware that the Earth was still in danger because of the battle. Goku scans for any nearby remote planets until he finds a key presence that feels a little familiar. There was no time to think. Goku grabbed onto what used to be Vegeta, and with his fingers on his forehead, he teleported to the moon. Two men with bunny ears and an old rabbit with a frillier dress scream at what they see, running off into a hole inside. Goku and Carnage resumed their battle on the moon, their onslaught of attacks creating shockwaves that cracked the celestial body. Both of them were regenerating and getting stronger as they fought. Goku wasn't just strong, but the anti-venom formula caused his attacks to burn Carnage with every touch, slowly destroying the rogue symbiote. Yet Carnage was still very strong in his own right, and anti-venom didn't work well on Buu's properties. Both feral beasts roared at each other. Goku started to feel another far off key signature, with gigantic levels. King Kai contacted Goku, telling him to go to that key source in the Supreme Kai's world. An ally was waiting there now. Goku thanks King Kai, as the god wishes him luck. Goku teleports himself and Carnage once again, this time to the Kaioshin realm, and as they did, an unknown force attacked Carnage. Goku was astonished, as Venom revealed himself stronger than ever before. Hercule mentioned how when he was practicing with the sword, a weird old guy came out of it, and when he was told about the situation, he offered to unleash his potential. It was a long process, with Goku not realizing just for how long he had been fighting, but after sensing how Earth was being destroyed, he called it quits early. Still, his strength was gigantic. It seemed that the symbiote had the mixed potential of every being it had bonded with, the Namekian warriors of old, Goku and Cell. So even if he dropped out of the ritual early, the reward was still amazing. Goku was shocked and amazed, but told him that eventually Carnage would be able to get stronger and kill both of them. He had an idea, but he needed Mr. Satan to make some time for it. Mr. Satan accepted the challenge, and the symbiote wrapped around his face once again, attacking Carnage, declaring themselves as the champions of the universe. Goku rises up to the top, creating a white spirit bomb, but even as the fight goes on, he isn't able to gather enough energy from the Earthlings, so Mr. Satan begs for the people of Earth to help him against another great evil, a dark creature that was destroying their cities and beloved homes. This actually started to work, and all of humanity gave energy to Goku. Venom gave Carnage a spinning kick towards the ground and trapped him in a web made of tendrils. Without wasting any time, he flew alongside Goku as the Saiyan launched the Genki Dama. Carnage broke free of his captivity, but he was struck by the giant's fear. Despite everything, he was still resisting it. Even though it was incinerating every piece of his body, he wouldn't give up. Venom knew he needed to help, launching upwards and firing another beam just above the spirit bomb, putting even more pressure on it. Carnage was roaring and screaming. He was quickly losing energy and ground. There was no time to escape. Goku and Mr. Satan roared as the spirit bomb exploded, leaving sparkles behind. They have finally won. As they fall to the ground, they saw a sight that relieved them. Vegeta was still there, unconscious, but free. Something confused them both. Majin Buu was there too. How did he survive? But then both of them calmed down. They couldn't really sense any evil inside of him. They should keep an eye on him. The Dragon Balls from New Namek were used to revive everyone killed by Carnage, since the Earth's Dragon Balls were used after the Cell games to bring back the people the androids had killed. Along with that wish, Gohan regrew his arm with another wish from the Dragon Balls. Morbius and Bulma wonder out loud about studying Gohan and the effects. Gohan is interested in studying the symbiotes with Miss Bulma and Morbius. Mr. Satan promises Venom that he won't lose him ever again. Venom is eager to stay with him and protect the world together. After these dramatic events, Mr. Satan was welcomed to join the Z Fighters, officially becoming part of the team alongside Venom. He even introduced the symbiote to little Videl. Finally, he was curious about it more than fearful. She really was brave. There was still some tendrils around, and the human Z Fighters and Piccolo were the ones to take care of them, to make sure that no one ever got taken over by that being again. Vegeta was very regretful over everything that had happened. He only really wanted to defeat Captain
Kakarot. The warriors didn't know what to think after all the chaos, but Bulma was just happy to have her husband back. Maybe with the passing time, the rest of the warriors would see how Vegeta was just a victim of the symbiote, just like Goku was one before. Surprisingly, Goku got used to the anti-venom symbiote. He's amazed by its skills. The tendrils ended regeneration, even though he didn't like it at first. Although he did think that the symbiote could be helpful in future altercations, he was never really a fan that he had to use somebody else's help to get that power. Once he learned from Bulma that the symbiote wasn't sentient and was merely an extension of his own body, Goku made up his mind. He'd keep the anti-venom symbiote and train with it. He was excited to discover what he was capable of now. Soon enough, Goku and Gohan visited Mr. Satan at his home, and Venom welcomed him. While Gohan and Videl played with each other, Mr. Satan and Goku talk amongst themselves about everything that's happened recently. As he hears more stories about Goku's battles against Carnage and his various adventures through his life, Mr. Satan feels rather inadequate. Goku was a hero through and through, yet he was just a regular guy that happened to find Venom by accident. He thinks to himself that maybe Goku should have been the one to stay bonded with him, but Goku disagrees. When he got Venom back, he saw all the memories he developed, the bond they had, the friendship they created. The thing that Mr. Satan and Venom had was really something else, something unique. Deep down, he realized they were a perfect match. You were the one to save Venom, Mr. Satan, not me. You were able to resist him when I couldn't. Your heart is stronger than any I've ever seen, and the way you convinced all those people, the way they all believed in you from the bottom of their hearts, you really are the world's greatest hero. Venom pops out of Hercule, letting him know that Goku is right. He doesn't want to be with anyone else but him. As Venom and the rest laugh, their laughter fills the air as the moon glistens in the sky.
All this destruction. They really are monsters, aren't they?
You're damn right they are. Those blasted aliens. They're controlling and eating us. They even got Mr. Satan under their disgusting tentacles. They thought they could cause all of this carnage and get away with it, but they were wrong. The world may have forgotten, but we haven't. They couldn't get rid of all the evidence. Now, with all these samples scattered all over the world, it's like taking candy from a baby. And with our new chief scientist, we'll soon harvest these samples and take back the world from these disgusting aliens. Isn't that right, Doctor?
But of course, sir, we're going to heal the world.
Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge thank you to Professor Chimp and Disper Z. And as always, a thank you to the patrons of the channel. This is definitely a passion project, since although it was never the highest viewed one, it's definitely been the what if with the most fan art for it. And if you're looking for more Dragon Ball content, why not check out some of the craziest Dragon Ball what ifs of all time? Click the video on screen to check it out.